So, lads, today we got to hear Nneka Ogwumike for the first time, well, one of the first times, talking about the CBA, because regardless of what people want to feel about Nneka, I have to say, like, Nneka is by 100 miles the most level-headed of all of these, of all the WNBPA. Her and Stewie. Like, you've got Kelsey Plum, who will basically come out and say X, Y, or Z is a slap to the face. And then you've got that. And on the other end, you've got Fee, who just hates Kathy Engelbert. And no matter what happens, Nafisa Collier is just going to go and attack Kathy Engelbert. Like, she just hates Kathy. Like, that's the other side of it, is that Fee just hates Kathy. So we're looking at this from both sides, and it's just like, none of this is good for anyone, really. Like, we're now at a stage where the WNBPA, a lot of the general public don't take the WNBPA that seriously. Why don't they take the WNBPA that seriously? Because in mid-negotiations, they're taking personal shots at people in the league, and I'm like, that doesn't help. Whereas Nneka, at least Nneka is level-headed here. So Nneka says here, after the strike authorization vote, we're looking for a good deal to get done, but I think we're also prepared for whatever it takes to happen, while also understanding that we want a season. That is the perfect thing she could have said. Basically, if you guys don't know what the vote was that if the players will stand by the union. It's basically a vote of confidence in the union, which means that, you know, the players trust that the union are going to make correct decisions on their behalf. Or they not make decisions. They trust them to make decisions on their behalf, which you would hope most is the case. It's going to be the case when it comes to most unions. But look, at the end of the day, it's this is something that is always going to be a bit of a sticking point. This is something that's always going to be a little bit tricky when it's all said and done to deal with. It's never going to be simple. And again, all this is pretty much what Clark says, and she was vilified and called a scab. Is this Nneka one now? No. Caitlin Clark could literally say, Caitlin Clark got, like, people, there were people in the media that attacked Caitlin Clark for donating money to charity. Like, it's madness. I've seen articles and videos calling out Caitlin Clark donating money to charity. Like, it is derangement syndrome. The problem is that there are some there are some people that suffer with Caitlin Clark derangement syndrome that are in the media. For me, that's kind of the problem there. It's nothing really to do with it's nothing really to do with like what Caitlin says. It's Caitlin bad. And unfortunately, there are people that suffer from Caitlin Clark derangement syndrome that have media credentials, which is a genuine concern for this league. So that is an interesting one. But let's see some of the replies. This guy, you want to send a condescending quote gif on this statement too, or is it reserved for Caitlin? This guy obviously in the media has me blocked for years, but insert my previous comment. Saying the same thing Caitlin Angel said. Where is this person with the We Want 2026 season mocking? I've heard this one somewhere before. Caitlin Clark. It's like, yeah. Let's be real. Like, even if you, Jesus, sorry. Even if you dislike, like, you're allowed to dislike anyone. Anyone's allowed to dislike anyone. Get rid of the uncapped revenue BS and just give them off them a real 21 rev share escalating 1% year on year. The reality is that I actually think if the players, if that happened, where the players got, let's just say the players wanted a rev split of 30. They're not going to get 30. Let's just say, okay, cool. We'll give you 25% rev split, but you're getting a 25% rev split, which probably means at the point from the start, which probably means that the max contract is $2 million. That's probably what it would mean. But then the salary cap raises by 5% every year for the rest of the CBA. The players won't say yes to that. The players, it seems like they literally want, because they want the word uncapped and they want equity and they want all this crap. So they basically want a fluctuating salary cap, which no league in their right mind would would go and say like would accept a fluctuating salary cap. But look, it is what it is. It kind of is growing pains. Kate said better. I don't even care. It says here, can we get a follow up on why this is, please? WNBA requires a much higher percentage of revenue to cover operating costs than other sports leagues. Yes, because the operating costs are high and the revenue is low. Are people like genuinely? People don't understand. Like, it's not even economics. It's like, let's just say it costs 40 million. How much do you reckon it would cost to run a WNBA team for a year? About 20 million? Costs about 20 million to run a WNBA team for a year on average. And that's being conservative to say it costs 20 million to run a WNBA team. And maybe 30 million when you include repayments of loans on practice facilities and a whole bunch of things. Let's just say it costs 30 million a year to run. And the WNBA brings, let's just, for argument's sake, they break even. So that means the WNBA brings in 450 million as a league. It's higher than that. Both are higher than that. Let's just say it costs 450 to run. The league brings in 450. The NBA teams, let's say the NBA teams, instead of costing, I think the salary cap in the NBA, if I'm not saying, it's like 120 million. Plus a lot of the other costs are the same. So let's just say it costs 200 million to run an NBA team. But the league generates 5 billion a year. So the league might generate 10x. It might cost 3 times more to run a team, but the league generates 10x the revenue. So as a percentage of revenue, the operating costs have been more than 100% of revenue for the WNBA since the dawn of time. But it is a really interesting one. It is a really interesting one to see some of this thing. This is the most, people are like, can we get a response on that? Obviously they're blocked by me. But there is a correlation with people being unable to count and have me blocked. That is one of those things. Pay the players. Another reason why I hate stands, because some people yelling about Angel and Caitlin's quotes. Yeah, like you didn't see anyone yelling about Angel's quotes. The only people yelling about Angel's quotes are people being like, well, you attacked Caitlin for this. Why aren't you attacking Angel? Neither of them were wrong. Madam President trying to get a deal done. She wants to play. I'm hopeful. I want to play. I know I'm going to get a good. I know that I'm going to get a good deal done on behalf of these players, along with the amazing leadership of the executive committee. So I'm looking forward to seeing how conversations will be more collaborative. I think it's really hard to be more collaborative when the executive committee is Kelsey Plum, who basically calls everything a slap to the face, and Nafisa Collier, who basically just wants to insult Cathy Engelbert. Like, Fee spent more time insulting the commissioner than she has saying anything productive about CBA. And I fucking love Nafisa Collier. I think she's a good person. I think she just hates Cathy. And that's the unfortunate thing. It's hard to negotiate in good faith if you fucking hate the commissioner. And she clearly hates the commissioner. And it's mutual. It is mutual. But yeah, it is an interesting thing. And look, I don't think that when it comes to WNBPA and the strike, I don't think it's going to happen. I still think that nobody's dumb enough. The problem is that this is a game of chicken. This is a game of chicken. And if the players have almost kind of fucked themselves in a way, because realistically, they basically have demanded they get everything, and they're not going to stop unless they get everything, and they're not going to get everything. So they're in a really rough position. They are in a really, really rough position. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.